In 1819, a group of soldiers were digging a pit in Lompock Rancho, California, to search for a powder magazine. Working their way through layers of hard, compact gravel, the soldiers found something out of place: a 12-foot sarcophagus. While this in itself was already strange on its own, something even more shocking was hidden inside it: a skeleton of a giant human, measuring around 12 feet tall as well, or about 5 meters. In the same area, the soldiers found artifacts that may have been buried along with this giant skeleton: weaponry, semi-precious minerals, and shells on which strange symbols were engraved. To top it off, they found that the skull had 2 rows of upper and lower teeth. Not knowing what to do, the soldiers approached a local Native American tribe for assistance. Declaring it to be a remnant of a deity, the weary tribe asked them to bury the remains again and never to disturb it once more. True enough, once the authorities caught wind of the situation, they indeed reinterred the bones secretly. Nothing was heard of about it ever since. This story was told by a woman in 1862. Her husband was one of the soldiers who unearthed the strange sarcophagus with the giant skeleton. This area has since then been turned into a military facility. Nowadays, it hosts the Vandenberg Space Force Base. The 1819 story was just one of the many accounts of the supposed giant skeleton discoveries all across the United States. Giant stories are abound in many mythologies and cultures around the world. Wherever you go, there's almost always a tale about a giant or giants, larger or taller than normal humanoids, with immense strength and power. In these stories, they usually play antagonistic roles, hostile and even openly violent to the humans they encounter. From Goliath of the Bible to Ymir of Norse and to the Gigantes of the Greece, there's no shortage of these larger-than-life stories. The Americas is also no stranger to stories of gigantic humans. From Paul Bunyan to the Paiute legends of red-haired giants, there is no shortage of giant stories, each as bizarre as the other. Nowadays, we look back at these stories as nothing more than myths and legends. After all, it's hard to imagine that such creatures of colossal size once roamed the earth. There is also no solid and verifiable proof that they did. Or was there? Archaeological findings of gigantic proportions. The mystery of America's giant skeletons. Since the early 1800s, sightings of giant skeletons have popped up every now and then all over the country, with some even earning a space in newspapers. Dozens of articles regarding giant skeletons were in newspaper archives, town history records, and journals of important people. Some of them you can even find online. In just a span of 200 years, over 1,000 reports of skeletons with a height measuring at least 7 foot or 2 meters up to 18 feet or 5.4 meters tall have been found. As you can see in this map, some states in the country have higher concentrations of giant skeleton accounts than others, with Ohio in the lead. An anonymous internet user also collected newspaper clippings and reports of supposed giant skeletons in a publicly available spreadsheet. Based on their collected data, here's a chart that shows the states and some countries with the most gigantic skeletal sightings. You can check out the links to this spreadsheet on the map in the video's description. While most of these had been chalked up to hoax, exaggerations, or misidentifications, others can't be so easily dismissed. Among these are the few accounts that stood above the rest, some from its believability, while others for its eerie similarity to old Native American legends. Then there are those that combine both. A 1947 newspaper also reported a strange account of a retired Ohio physician by the name of Dr. F. Bruce Russell. According to the article, Dr. Russell, alongside his colleague Dr. Daniel S. Bovey, was prospecting in an area in Death Valley, California, to look for mining opportunities in 1931, when he fell into an underground cave when the ground beneath him gave way. What he stumbled upon in that place was something he never would have imagined finding. Because underneath that seemingly ordinary area was a complex network of catacombs and tunnels. Bovia joined Russell in exploring the caverns, only to find even more mysterious artifacts, bones of extinct animals, and mummified remains of giants measuring 8 to 9 feet tall. Naturally, when Russell and Bovie told this story to others, nobody believed them. Russell, however, was persistent at first and even formed a corporation with the goal of exploring the said cavern network even further and profiting off from it. Unfortunately, they never found it again. But the story doesn't end there. Only a short while after that, Russell disappeared. His car and suitcase was found abandoned in a far-flung area in Death Valley. Meanwhile, his companion Bovie wasn't heard of since the incident, as if he vanished into thin air. Russell and Bovie weren't even the only ones to tell such a tale. In the 1920s, there was also another prospector, only known as White, and fell into a cavern and discovered evidence of civilization in the place. Later on, a Paiute native named Tom Wilson was fascinated by White's tale as it's similar to his grandfather's story. Wilson accompanied White to find the mysterious caverns, but they weren't able to locate it anymore. A book published in 1932 titled Death Valley Men by a prospector named Bork Lee also recounted the same story. Like the others, the men who visited the underground city vanished. Interestingly, 577 miles away from Death Valley, a similar story happened in 1904 to a British prospector only known as J.C. Brown. Like Russell, Bovie, White, and Wilson's grandfather, J.C. Brown accidentally discovered a cave where he found not only treasures and artifacts, but also mummies of giants measuring up to 10 feet or 3 meters tall. Strangely, Brown also vanished on the day he and an exploration team was about to set out to return to the area. Stories of underground cities and giants actually have their roots in Native American legends. The Paiute people even have a legend about a chief who, grieving for the death of his beloved wife, wandered to the Death Valley and stumbled upon an underground city called Shinuav. While this tale from the Paiute people didn't have giants on the surface, another one has a more direct mention of beings who are larger than normal humans. According to a story told to mining engineer John T. Reed in 1886, the Paiute people once found a war against a tribe they called the Siteka. The Siteka, or the Sia, are a tribe of red-haired, cannibalistic giants who terrorized the area. The Paiute people eventually emerged victorious and drove them away to a cave, barring its entrance to prevent the giants' escape. That place is known as the Lovelock Cave. A link to a detailed video about the giants of the Lovelock Cave can be found in the description. Unlike our previous stories, though, there might be some veracity to the story of the Siteka people. You see, in 1911, two Baguano miners, David Pogg and James Hart, stumbled upon the remains of the tribe. Beneath the layer of Baguano measuring 3 to 6 feet were thousands of artifacts and remains that were clearly left there by a sizable settlement. One sandal was even estimated to be 10,000 years old, which was even older than the recognized most ancient civilizations in the world. And while there is unfortunately a scant evidence that the tribe who used to live there were actually giants, one of the remains discovered in 1911 was that of a 6'6" tall human. Not exactly a giant, but a little taller than average. However, there was a catch. Not all artifacts or remains of the cave were preserved. The problem started when during the first exploration of the miners, only the objects that deemed interesting were saved. So as misfortune would have it, long before any systematized digging was done, there may have been many valuable artifacts that were irreversibly damaged and forever lost to time. It turns out that cases similar to this isn't exactly uncommon. A lot of reported discoveries of giant skeletons all across the country mysteriously ran into an issue and were declared to be hoax. Granted that many might have been a hoax, there are others that make you question whether there's a deliberate cover-up. Mounds and giants. Mounds are a sizable pile of earth artificially constructed as either a burial or ceremonial site. A mysterious earthwork that confounded the ordinary folks and archaeologists alike, mounds have existed in North America for thousands of years. According to the estimates, there were 1 million mounds all over the United States, but only 100,000 of them remain nowadays. Even in the 1800s, there were many people who believed that a race of giants have actually built these mounds. Among these was Abraham Lincoln, who famously wrote, "But still there is more. It calls up the indefinite past. When Columbus first sought this continent, when Christ suffered on the cross, when Moses led Israel through the Red Sea, nay, even when Adam first came from the hand of his Maker, then as now, Niagara was a roaring here. The eyes of the species of extinct giants, whose bones fill the mounds of America, have gazed on Niagara as ours do now. Contemporary with the whole race of men, and older than the first man, Niagara is strong and fresh today as 10,000 years ago. The mammoth and mastodon now seem long dead, that fragments of their monstrous bones alone testify that they ever lived, have gazed on Niagara. In that long, long time, never still for a single moment, never dried, never froze, never slept, never rested." Interestingly, it was also during this time the accounts of giant skeleton discoveries were reported in various newspapers. More intriguingly, 2 of them came from the New York Times. According to these 2 articles dating back 1886 and 1897, skeletons attributed to a giant human-like creature were found in Cartersville, Georgia, and Wisconsin, respectively. The Georgia skeleton measured 14 feet, or 4.3 meters, while the Wisconsin one was around 9 feet, or 2.7 meters. While you can still read these newspaper articles on the New York Times website, strangely, there were no updates since what happened to the 2 reported giant skeletons. It was as if the newspaper mentioned it once, then decided not to talk about it anymore. One of the most fascinating mound sites in the country, the Great Serpent Mound, also has its share of giant skeleton story. In the 1890s, Professor Frederick Ward Putnam found 6-foot-tall skeletons near the area. While that's not gigantic by any means, another researcher named Jeffrey Wilson rediscovered and photographed a 7-foot skeleton. Weirdly enough, the said skeleton had its lower leg and feet missing, which led some to speculate that it may have been taller than that. More and more giant skeletons were found in various mound sites all over the United States. One, in West Virginia, a 7-foot-2-inch tall skeleton. Another, in Miamisburg, Ohio, which was a skeleton of 8 feet and 1.5 inches in height. Then one in Iowa, measuring 7 feet and 6 inches. The last one had reportedly crumbled to dust after exposure to air. Don't miss the second part of the video, where we'll go from a mysterious finds in Missouri to the skeletons purchased by the Smithsonian Institution, and where we explore the mysteries beyond these huge remains. Are there proof of the existence of ancient giant races? Or are they simply the product of myths and hoax? You'll find out more about the controversies and theories that divide scientists and enthusiasts. Get ready for a journey into the past that promises to reveal secrets long kept in the silence of history. The next episode will present new views and revelations that may change the way we see our distant past. Deepen your adventure by watching our playlist. And if you want more, just play the next episode that comes up as a suggestion on your left.